Good afternoon, my name's Liz. Welcome to the West of England MS Therapy Centre webinar. As part of our work for Multiple Sclerosis Awareness Week, our webinar today is talking about our own personal experiences of living with MS. So you'll get to hear my story as well as some of my friends. The topics we include are diagnosis, how we manage our condition, and how MS has changed our life. I was 30 when I was first diagnosed. I'd just had a baby, and all of a sudden my body just wasn't the same anymore. But because I just had a baby, it was obviously a very long road to diagnosis, because there's lots of different things and different symptoms that multiple sclerosis. There could be other symptoms for other illnesses. It took me 10 months, and 10 months whilst having a young baby and not being able to use, important parts of your body like my arms, and having constant pain. All of a sudden, if you touched me, I was in complete pain and agony. The symptoms were very severe and also frightening, because I wasn't sure what was happening, because without diagnosis, you're not really sure how to sort of help yourself and help your illness. Along the road to diagnosis, I did find that water-based exercise really helped. And water-based exercise like swimming was something that was easy to do even before I had a diagnosis. My son was 10 months old, and I was 30, nearly 31 when I received my diagnosis. I couldn't believe it when I first received my diagnosis, but then because I'd had 10 long months of not knowing what was wrong with me, you do sort of start to doubt yourself and wonder if you're going a bit crazy, because all of a sudden a touch hurts. Neuropathic pain is a really difficult thing to sort of live with and to even understand. As soon as I received my diagnosis, I kind of expected that there'd be like some treatment plan, or I'd be told, well, if you do this, it will improve, or if you do this, it might help. But I realized very quickly that there's limited help on the NHS to help manage the ongoing symptoms of MS. I mentioned that I found water-based things like swimming really helpful in helping me to sort of just feel normal within my body and to be able to do exercise to keep myself going. Quite early on, I was fortunate that one of my friends mentioned the West of England MS Therapy Centre to me. So at the same time as being diagnosed, because there was nothing sort of on the NHS that I was finding that was helping, I quickly joined the centre and I started doing oxygen therapy. On a Wednesday, I always come here and I do exercise class, which really helps. But I've also done oxygen for the past 6 years. And we go in a pressurized container tank, and we dive down to depths of 16, 24 or 33. Straight away, I felt that my fatigue was better, and it helps people with such a lot of different symptoms, because everybody's MS is very different and everybody's symptoms vary. Some people find that the oxygen helps with their bladder. Some people find, like myself, my left eye can be very tricky, and that's why I don't drive. The vision in it is often very poor and often is blurred and double and triple vision sometimes. So I find that diving with oxygen, it really helps me keep these symptoms in check. It even once, a couple of years ago, when I had my first relapse of optical neuritis in my eyes, I did intensive sessions where I did about 4 or 5 very close together, and it even brought back my eyesight so that I was okay to drive for a further 9 months. So I find that the oxygen has been the mainstay of all of my treatment. The types of things I do to help myself, I've mentioned, are swimming. I'm up to swimming about 64 lengths, and I do this a couple to 3 times a week. I also find that yoga is very helpful. I do exercise classes here which are run by physiotherapists, and we have 2 or 3 physiotherapists running treatments So we're all doing exercises. So because our symptoms can change so very frequently, it makes attending other exercise classes without the centre and without trained physiotherapists very difficult, because it gives you the peace of mind that when I come here on a Wednesday, I come here and I exercise with my friends, and then I go into the oxygen tank with my friends, and we all feel a lot better afterwards. The oxygen helps people both with relapsing and remitting MS, which is the condition that I have, but also with progressive, aggressive MS. I find that if I'm having a relapse, which I had quite recently, instead of opting for the steroid-based treatments, which you can use on the NHS if you're having a real severe relapse, I always prefer to try and use oxygen wherever possible, because it doesn't have the side effects that are associated with the steroids, and it doesn't ravage your body quite so much. So I always find that with a bit of swimming, a bit of yoga, a bit of oxygen, and also I find that getting involved in Centre Life, helping fundraise, it can all sort of help you stay fun and stay focused. How has MS changed my life? Well, it's changed my life in one major way, and that is that I've been able to stay at home with my son, and I haven't actually gone to work. But as you can hear from my account of the last few years, just managing to live on a day-to-day basis, firstly trying to get diagnosis, and then trying to sort of help you live within your own body, it is a full-time job trying to sort of basically live a normal life with MS. But I wouldn't change it for anything, and I think it's made me stronger for it. I'd like to introduce you to some of my other friends. The next person who'll be speaking is Rob, and he'll be able to tell you about his account of having MS and what he manages to do to help himself live with this condition.
My name's Robert. I was diagnosed at the age of 38. My diagnosis took about 5 years to diagnose, due to all the blood tests and all the tests that they did. And also I was going through cancer at the time, so it took a little bit longer. The treatments and therapies that helped my condition, and most importantly oxygen at the MS Therapy Centre in Bristol. I mean, without them I'd be a lost man right about now. The other treatments I need is my medication, I suppose, which helps with my my spasticity. MS has really changed my life, for the worst, because obviously it changes everything. And you know how it's helped me is I've met a few good people, and yeah, I suppose it keeps you on your toes, you know. It really does keep you on your toes. The treatments at the MS Therapy Centre, well, I mean, I always use physio and oxygen. That's the two I use. In my opinion, physio is the only thing that can really help with MS long term. Physio is the best, in my opinion. Well, I mean, my muscles, this affects my muscles obviously like everyone. And the only way you can keep them strong is by exercising. Oxygen, it helps with my energy levels, my blood circulation, and blood flow. Those three things is what it helps with. The physio helps with keeping my muscles strong, and I do come up to the centre as well for reflexology. Well, it helps me because you know, the main problems with me at the moment is my feet. It's the moving of my feet, and well, reflexology is your feet, so it can't do any harm. MS has changed my life for the better and for the worst, because it hit me by surprise, to be honest. You know, I had so much going on at the same time that it hit me by surprise. I didn't notice any of the signs, and no one told me. You know, they just told me at the last minute, you've got MS. Had I known 5 years previous, I would have done all those things that I didn't do prior to being able to not walk. I've met some great people, and it really gets you thinking about the future, your life. You know, before I had these major illnesses, I was an everyday type of guy, like live for the next day only. I didn't really think of the future, whereas now I really do. Life's precious, you know. And it takes a real big illness like this to make you realize that. I would like to introduce Kirsty, who's a very good friend of mine. I'm going to introduce her now so that she can have a little talk with you. I met Kirsty at the MS Centre. Now we're very good friends. Yeah, we met at the MS Centre. We're very good friends. And she will talk your ear off. This one can actually talk more than I can, which is saying something.
Right. Well, as you all know, I'm Kirsty, as Rob introduced. I was 18 when I was first diagnosed with MS. It all started when I was 16. And I woke up one day and I didn't have any sight in my left eye, and I was diagnosed with optic neuritis and told, if it goes away, not to worry about it. And it went away after 6 weeks, so I didn't worry about it. And then about a year and a half later, I woke up and my left leg didn't follow me out of bed. I just thought I'd slept on it funny, but then I spoke to my mum, who's a home care assistant, and she said to me, I don't mean to frighten you, but you've had quite a few symptoms of multiple sclerosis. Go to your doctor with all the evidence so that they don't just say you've got a trapped nerve, which I did. And the doctor said, well, yes, that is symptoms of MS, but we'll do an MRI scan just to check. It could be many other things. So I had my MRI scan, and on December the 9th, 2004, when I was 18, they told me I had MS. So all in all, really, it didn't take too long for my diagnosis, because they knew that that's what they were already looking for, thankfully, from my mum being aware of all this sort of thing. So I was quite lucky to get diagnosed so quickly. Treatments and therapies that help me manage my condition. The biggest treatment that helps me manage my condition would have to be the oxygen therapy that I receive at the local MS centre. I've been doing it for about 8 years now, and my life before that was very difficult. It was get out of bed in the morning, lie on the sofa, go back to bed. That was all it was. So until I found the oxygen therapy, I didn't have a life for a young 21-year-old person. And the oxygen therapy, it helps alleviate the fatigue slightly, enough to the point where I can get out of bed and I can have a life. I can come to the MS therapy centre where I don't just get the oxygen treatment. It's also fantastic therapy, coming and seeing your friends, having a laugh, having a joke. You come in, if you're having a bad day, you don't have to explain yourself, because everyone understands. And it is definitely the most wonderful place to come. It's always full of laughter, and I'll tell you what, people with MS have definitely got the best sense of humour going. MS has changed my life. It's definitely different to what I planned for my own life. I mean, I'm 28 now, and in my head, by the time I was 25, I wanted to be married with 2 children. That didn't happen. So now I just love and appreciate everything that I've got in life. I've got such fantastic family and friends who support me. My nieces and nephews make my world light up. They're absolutely incredible. Yes, I struggle on a daily basis with MS, the fatigue. I'd like to explain it as sometimes it feels like I'm wearing a suit of armour made of lead after running 6 marathons, walking through sinking mud. But I know as long as I have a smile on my face, if there's one thing in the day that I can laugh at, then I know I've had a good day. There are millions of other people out there that are worse off than me, but I definitely couldn't be without the MS Therapy Centre. My life would be practically non-existent without it. And the people here are wonderful. And the only funding that the centre gets is the fundraising that people do and contribute. We don't get any government funding or anything like that, and yet they never turn anybody away. It's incredible. The people that work here, to be honest, they've changed my life for the better in a much bigger way than MS has changed my life. Physically, I might not be where I want to be, but mentally, I'm an awful lot stronger than I used to be. And there are so many people here that no matter how bad they are, there's always a laugh and a smile and a joke. And it's absolutely fantastic. I do take a lot of medications to also help. I'm on the new drug Tecfidera to try and help alleviate some of my relapses. So touch wood, that will go okay. I do take things for nerve pain, but the biggest therapy for me is the MS Therapy Centre. The oxygen and the people are what help me to manage my MS. It's the best place in the world. You should all come and take a visit.
Hi, yes, my name's Debbie Souter, and I was diagnosed when I was about 32. I was married at the time, and I'd had one child in 1997, and he was about 18 months. We were always a family that would be out and about. My husband and I used to walk a lot, do lots of walks and holidays out in the country, camping, and so we were out one day, and I was just walking, you know, you wear your big heavy boots and that, and I noticed I couldn't pick my feet up very well. I was tripping, catching my toe, and couldn't quite work out what it was. And this what sort of went on then afterwards, just generally walking out and about, and like lifting my foot to go up a stairs. And so I went through the process of going to the doctor and then a neurologist, and eventually I had all the tests done. I actually sort of went privately because there was a long waiting list to see a neurologist. So we paid privately just to get the ball rolling, and I was sort of desperate to find out what was wrong with my legs. And the other symptom that I had, there was a lot of numbness inside my legs, and also muscle spasms in my legs, which were a lot uncontrollable. They just came on their own. So anyway, I was diagnosed. Probably took just a year to be diagnosed. It was quite quick. I had the 3 MRI scan, optic nerve test, and the lumbar puncture. And they diagnosed me within the year, because they were testing me in 1999. I was diagnosed in the year 2000. So it was a bit of an eye-opener, really. Sort of, what is MS? Why have I got this? What's happening to my body? And what does this mean for me now? It was my dad, because I was quite open about it, told my family about it. It's one of those things you just want to, tell people about and let them know what's happening in your life, really. And so my dad was inquiring within his work, and I think he must have mentioned it, and a lady gave him this leaflet. There was this place in Nailsea called the MS Therapy Centre, and would I like to go? So he handed it to me, and I looked at it for a while, and I wasn't quite ready to go. You sort of look at the pictures in there, think, oh, I don't know, do I really want to go? And so I didn't go initially straight away. I think it probably took me a couple of months to actually get the courage to go along, because I just wasn't sure what I would find when I got there and what would I say. But so I went along, and they were so welcoming when I went in there, and it was so homely, and they put me in touch with this. She was there, this lady called Liz that was there, and we had a really good chat. She had a daughter the same age as my son at the time, and we just had a lot in common, and were able to talk about it. And it was very relaxed. And although you see there were other people that perhaps had worse symptoms than I had at the time, that was fine, because everyone was so friendly. And so then that's when they introduced me to the oxygen therapy. And so I did my saturation with them, and that's really been my ongoing treatment, to be honest, since that day. And having it weekly, and I've really noticed that it has helped me through those it's been 15 years now of just keeping on top of my MS. My MS has progressed because that's the type of MS I have, but it's been very slow. And within those 15 years, not only have I had the oxygen therapy, they offered me some physiotherapy, which again is on a weekly basis. And although I didn't have that initially in the first sort of 5 years of having my MS, it's been so helpful to keep my muscles strong, because they do weaken with MS. And when they give you the weekly exercises, if you keep up with them, it does keep your legs strong, or whichever part of your body you're exercising. And the thing is that what's lovely about the centre is they never ask you for any money, because they're not they're just a charity, and but you'd make a donation, and that helps them then, and then I got, because of that as well, I knew that it was a charity, and so I got involved with the fundraising side of things, and so that's really been a really good thing for me to take part in, and through that I've made lots of friends here. It's such a friendly place. You get alongside people who've got the same symptoms as you, and it's been, yeah, absolutely brilliant to just come along and feel that you can talk to somebody who knows how you're feeling, and they can say, oh yeah, I know what that's like, whereas people outside just don't know what MS is, and it's hard to talk to them about it. So you can do that when you come to the MS Centre. I've probably talked an awful lot really about myself. How has MS changed my life? Well, I certainly don't do all those outdoor activities that I used to do, walking, you know, but we have adapted our life as a family, really. We do things outside. I just have gradually not been able to do certain things. So although I can't do an awful lot of the exercise things, like I'm able to swim, and I swim every week and keep that going as an exercise, and I love swimming, and so that's a really good feel-good factor for me. I definitely come out feeling so much better after swimming in my spirit. Although I'm tired, because it physically tires my muscles, it's mentally really good for me. We've, as I said, we're adapting to having MS. We just do lots of activities which I'm able to join in with, really. We've tried not to make things difficult for the children, so they just live with mum having MS. They help. It's been good for them. Learning how to help me to do things, extra help around the house. It's been good for them. A bit educational, really, and they're really helpful. And they've grown up with it, really, so they don't know any different. Another thing that to help me be part of taking part in things like walks and that, I have a Motability scooter, so that's really great to be able to go along to things. You know, you don't feel like you're housebound. You can go out and do things, because I can't walk too far. So that's really helpful. And going on holidays, we still do. We try and make it as adventurous as we can. And yeah, I just try to still have fun, find fun in life, you know, and still smile about things. And you know that I never take it for granted, actually, now when you walk down the streets, that everyone's got it all in place. It's always something people have got in their lives. So it was a bit of a shock for this to happen to me, but I know that there's lots of people out there who have different ailments, and it changes their life. But you just make the most of what you've got, really, and move on in your life, and try and stay positive with everything. Anyway, thank you for listening.
Hello, welcome to the webinar. My name's Gus. I go to the MS Therapy Centre in Bradley, Stoke. How old was I when I was first diagnosed? I was in the army at the time, and I was 24 years of age, stationed in the Outer Hebrides. First symptoms were, one day I woke up and I had pins and needles in my arms and legs. And I thought, oh, this is very strange. What's going on here? So I went to the doctor, the army doctor, and he said, it's a virus, you've got a virus, take these tablets. So I took the tablets for about 2 weeks, but the pins and needles didn't go away. And one day I was in the restroom talking to someone and holding a cup of coffee in my hand. And the next thing, everybody burst out laughing. And I wondered, oh, what are they laughing at? And so I looked down and my hand was still clutching the cup of coffee, but the cup was on the floor. And so I thought to myself, oh, there's definitely something wrong here. So I went to the doctor again, and he said I would have to go see a specialist. I was stationed, like I said, in the Hebrides, so I flew to Glasgow on the weekend and seen the specialist on the Monday. He did the tests, made me stand up straight, closed my eyes, and I almost fell over because MS affects your balance. And he grabbed me and he said, right, we need to get you into hospital. So the next day I went into the Royal Infirmary, Edinburgh, and I was in there for 3 months. And they did all tests, MRI scans, lumbar punctures, and they still didn't tell me what it was. And this was in 1984. And so one day I was on the ward and they said, oh, there's a new lad just come in. And so I went to him and said, oh, what's wrong with you? And he says, oh, I keep getting pins and needles in my arms and legs. And I said to him, have they told you what it is? And he said, yes. He said, I've got MS. And I went, alarm bell started ringing. And so I said, oh, could I see the doctor, please? And so the doctor came and said, yes, I know it's been 3 months, but we've tried to rule out what all these different symptoms what you've got. And so we were going to tell you this week that you had MS. Well, it was a bit of a shock. At 24, you think, and this is before the internet, and so I had to go to the library and read up about what MS was, and yeah, a big shock to the system, because there wasn't a lot of books about MS at the time either. And so I found out that I had relapse remission MS. So about a month afterwards, the symptoms went away. But I went to the doctor and he put me on a course of tablets. And so things gradually sort of died down and I just carried on my army career. I had a few attacks. I was in like I said, I was in the Hebrides and I was posted back to Germany in 1987. And when I got back to Germany, I had a really bad attack, which left me with optic neuritis in my left eye, which means blurred vision. And so I was sent to the Royal Elizabeth Hospital. So that was my diagnosis. Right, how long did it take to diagnose? It took about 3 months. But in my case, it takes a lot longer with certain people. Certain people they tell straight away. With other people, they've got to do lots and lots of tests to rule things out. What treatments and therapies help you manage your condition? Well, at the moment, I go to the MS Therapy Centre in Bristol. I use the oxygen therapy on a Friday. It seems to help with my balance, even though I'm in a wheelchair. If I have to stand up, I'm not as wobbly on my feet. Helps with my bladder control a lot, and generally, yeah, a sense of well-being as well. Lots of people use it. Some people it doesn't agree with, but the majority of the people it seems to agree with them. And how has MS changed your life? It's made me more aware of what disabled people have to go through and people in wheelchairs, because people are very, what's the word I'm looking for? They just don't know which way to react to people in wheelchairs. They see the illness, but they don't see the person in the chair. They think they're a bit stupid, or they speak, or a bit deaf and speak really loudly towards them, and does he take sugar? And stuff like that there, which annoys the hell out of me. it's, I suppose you have to prioritize things once you have the illness. As in myself, if I'm going to do something, I say I'm going to do that tomorrow, but that will be all I'll be able to do. All my strength, because I get very tired afterwards and stuff like that. I can still drive at the moment. I have a car with hand controls, so I still have a bit of freedom. And I've done things. For the MS Therapy Centre, I've done a tandem skydive, which frightened the life out of me. I've done the Brecon Beacons in a wheelchair, being carried by loads of guys over a trail in the Brecon Beacons, which was fabulous. I do a lot of collecting outside supermarkets for the centre. People are very generous. Yeah, so basically, yeah, I keep smiling. I have a positive frame of mind. I keep smiling all the time. And yeah, there's lots of good people at the MS Centre. There's lots of therapies, physio, reflexology, acupuncture, like I said, the oxygen therapy, there's a counsellor. But the majority is you'll meet other people with MS. If you come to the centre, you'll meet other people with MS, but there won't be anyone who's down and a bit depressed. If they are, the other people will rally around and try and pull them. They know what that you're going through. We know what you're going through. So that's the best place to come. So you should come to the MS Centre. It's a fabulous place. God, not normally stuck for words, me, but yeah, yeah. I used to go to the MS Centre when I was in Nailsea. I got divorced about 10 years ago, and I came down from Yorkshire down to Bristol, and I found out that the MS Therapy Centre was in Nailsea, so I went to it. It was fabulous then, and then we moved from there till our big building at Bradley Stoke about 3 years ago, opened by Princess Anne, fabulous woman, and yeah, and it's changed my life. It's been brilliant, and I've met some really good friends at it. And yes, and MS, it's what you make it. You know, you have to be positive. Be positive. Frame of mind. Laughter is the best medicine, they said, and that's it. Yeah, you just have to keep. And if you're feeling ill, talk to someone, and it's better to offload to someone and just get it out rather than keep it into yourself. Yeah, it's a fabulous place. Come to the MS Therapy Centre in Bradley Stoke. Really good, enjoyable. MS, yeah, it's what you make it. Don't let it get you down. Be positive. Yeah, you can. I can do things. Yeah, you can still do the same things that you want to, only you just take it at a slower pace. Okay. If you want to do something, you can do it. Just take it at a slower pace. Thank you very much for listening, everyone. It's been a pleasure. Like I say, MS Therapy Centre, Bradley Stoke, come along, more than welcome. And if you're lucky, I'll bake you a cake. Okay. Bye for now.